everybody, and welcome here to a Deck Tech on the Constructive Criticism YouTube channel. I am Spencer. I'm the host, well, co-host? I don't know my title. I'm the owner of Constructive Criticism. I am excited today to talk to you about a few decks. I don't know how these are going to come out, but the first deck that we're going to talk about is the easiest deck to talk about now that Explorer Anthologies has come out and released a very specific card. We're going to talk about Mono Blue Spirits. With that being said, I just want to quickly thank our sponsor over at puremtgo.com and then the Constructive Criticism sponsor over at gglehigh.com. Both of our sponsors are amazing. I really appreciate them. You should check them out. There's going to be a link in the show notes if you want to get back to the show. Click that link for GG Lehigh, and then next month we'll have an additional percentage off for all listeners for GG Lehigh. Don't forget to check out the Discord. If you're a patron of $5 more, you get access to the Constructive Criticism Discord, or if you just want access to all of the content, whether it be He's a Game Media content, Constructive Criticism content, head on over to the He's a Game Media Discord, link in the show notes. But let's dive right into this deck. Mono Blue Spirits is a deck that is one of, if not the hardest decks to play in Pioneer. The list that I'm showing you, though, is both a Pioneer and Explorer deck list. This is just straight up the list that I would play in either format, and I want to talk about why. With that being said, let's go over the main deck. We have 4 Ascendant Spirits. This card is quite good. It's actually a card that when I was first starting to play this deck that I did not do a good job of respecting and understanding why it was good, even why it was in my deck, and the total number of things that I could do with it. The reason that you're playing Snowman is not just Faceless Haven. It is actually this card too. Because the number of games, even today, I was streaming in the Patreon-only Discord for Constructive Criticism, and the number of games where I just got to level this up and just win the game was far, far too many. I think this card is bonkers. It quickly outpaces removal in the format as long as you play it correctly. The fact that you get to level it up at instant speed is quite good. Next up, we have Curious Obsession. If you have been playing Standard for a few years, you know about the power of this card. It is one that gets to take over the game, and the game becomes about whether or not you can outpace a Curious Obsession. The creature gets +1/+1, then they draw a card if they hit you. Because all of this deck is almost flyers, and it has 8 1-drop flyers plus all of the 2-drop flyers, you're very easily able to get free wins with this card. Even today, I had multiple free wins just playing this card. The newest card released on Arena is Mausoleum Wonder. It's a 1/1 for 1 creature spirit. It has flying, but whenever another spirit enters the battlefield, it gets +1/+1, and then you can sacrifice it to counter target instant or sorcery spell, where unless control pays X, where X is its power. This card is one of, if not the actual best card in the deck. Its inclusion into the format has completely changed Explorer, in my opinion. I've only played 5 matches so far, 5-0, with this deck. People do not respect spirits, and they're going to be in for a rude awakening when they realize just how good spirits can be with good 1-drops. Next up, we have the newest inclusion to the deck. This is a card that was not in the deck list at the beginning of Pioneer, even just a few months ago, and that is Slip Out the Back. This card is 1 blue for instant. You put a 1/1 counter on creature. It phases out. Oh man, this card is better than a lot of the protection spells that you were offered. In fact, it's so good that you change the number of 1-mana instant speed spells. A lot of lists were playing more Spell Pierce. This deck loves Slip Out the Back because this deck is trying to race all the time. Spectral Sailor is next. One of the coolest things about Spectral Sailor is the way that you race in this deck. If you have a hand of sorcery speed spirits such as Mausoleum Wanderer and Ascendant Spirit, you get to decide how you want to sequence things depending on whether you have a Curious Obsession, depending on how your removals breaks up, depending on your protection spells, whether it be Rattlechains or Spell Pierce or things like that. So a ton of things going on there. We do have 1 Spell Pierce in the main. This number gets to fluctuate. This is one of your flex slots along with the Slip Out the Backs. You get to decide how many protection spells you want, how many lords you want to protect, things like that. We have 4 Rattlechains, 4 Shacklegeist, and 4 Supreme Phantom. All of these cards I would consider Lord effects. So this one gives 1/1/1/1. This one taps down things. This one gives your things flash, and then also acts as an interaction spell. Overall, your Lords are your best cards, but you have to have a 1-drop to go along with any of them. Supreme Phantom is not that good without another spell. Shacklegeist obviously does almost nothing on its own, and Rattlechains is at its best when you are casting in response to something. Gaslight Snare is a card that will surprise you. The best hands in this entire deck involve a Gaslight Snare, or Geistlight Snare, I guess is actually what it's called. And those are hands that involve a 1-drop into Curious Obsession plus Snare protecting something. You will probably never lose a game where that happens. It just means that you have a 1-mana leak and your opponent is in huge trouble. You'll notice that I have 2 Brazen Barbers. I have no... I don't even remember the name of the card. There's a 2-mana flash spirit that you can pay 3 to phase something out. I just find Brazen Borrower to be better in almost every situation. It's not a spirit. It's one of the only non-spirits in your deck. In fact, to the point where I don't think that there is... Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think there's a fairy or a rogue. And then Icon of Ancestry. This is actually a card that sideboards out a lot, but is actually really good in the matchups where it's good. You see lists playing as many as 2 of them. It's pretty powerful. And then your land base is pretty simple. You are playing, if you look here, you are playing exactly 22 lands, 1 Otawara, 18 snow-covered islands, and 1 Faceless Haven. But you do have the other Faceless Haven on the board to go up to, that's right, 23 lands. Overall, the mana base makes a ton of sense. Otawara is a huge get for the deck. You don't want to play more than 1 just because, like, you know, you never want to draw the second one in a game where you need to use it as a land. Overall, Faceless Haven is huge in this deck. Really lets you close out games. Pretty big get. The sideboard, I have 2 Witness Protection. Witness Protection was a card that I didn't play the very first time I played this deck. Played it at 1K. It was the best card on my sideboard. To the point where I thought I didn't need Entrancing Melody. That wasn't true. Entrancing Melody in combination with Witness Protection is where I found you want to be in the sideboard. The reason for this is, like, there's a ton of decks where one is better than the other, or one, and it's usually Witness Protection, but when you want Melody, where you need the 2-for-1, whether it be mono green or whether it be decks that have something that's hard to deal with, Entrancing Melody comes in big. I have 2 Lofty Denials in the sideboard. This is a total... At one point I had a 4 of Lofty Denial between the main and the sideboard. You don't need that many counter spells. In fact, Lofty Denial basically almost always comes in on the draw, where you want to out-tempo your opponent, and then comes back out on the play, because what happens for me, at least, is I'm boarding out Cure Obsession a lot on the draw, where my opponent has multiple 1-mana removal spells. So instead of Curious Obsession, I'm leaving up 2-mana counter spells. Mystical Dispute is a must-have. I think that it's good in multiple matchups. Blue-Eye Control is something that, while not talked about a lot, is a really good deck on the format. Blue-Black Control, Esper Control, all of those see play. As well as just the Mirror, and as well as Phoenix. Mystical Dispute is one of your best sideboard cards. I've had as many as 4 of them in my sideboard. I'm down to 2 right now. We already talked about this card. Cerulean Drake is pretty important. Here's the thing. You are not good against mono red. In fact, it is one of, if not your worst matchups. And if they are playing Goblin Chain Whirler, you're in huge trouble. Cerulean Drake is a saving grace there. You need some of it. Instead of other things, I have an Unsubstantiate over different types of 2-mana interaction or even 1-mana interaction. This is just a nice catch-all. Unlicensed Curse is great. You board it in against black-red. You board it in against, the Greasebane decks. There's tons of things to do there. And we've already talked about Entrancing Melody. Overall, I think this deck is one that is disrespected in both Pioneer and Explorer, and I just had a very quick 5-0 in Platinum with this deck. I think that it is definitely something to be reckoned with. It is a deck that I own in paper, and this will be the deck that I play at RCQs for Pioneer in my local region. So thank you everybody so much. Leave a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. I will answer them. I might, if we get enough questions, I might even do a video answering questions. Don't forget to check out the rest of the podcast network on constructorism.com, whether it be constructor criticism, drafting archetypes, or common knowledge. Thank you all so much for watching. It means the world to me, and I don't just say that. I really do mean it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys all next time with the next deck here on the Constructed Criticism YouTube channel.